Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Andrea Pearson Show. My name is Andrea, and the topic of today's episode is how to be successful, and that can be how to be successful in life, how to be successful in business, all of that stuff. And we'll delve into that first, and then I'm going to give some updates at the end about what's going on in my life and things like that. Anyway, so just wanted to jump right into the meat of today's topic, which is, like I said, how to be successful. And a lot of people who are successful. I'm gonna go into a whole bunch of different things. And a lot of people are successful. They won't always have each of these qualities or each of these things, or they won't recognize or acknowledge that they have these things in them. And you don't need to have all of these things in order to be successful. But the more of these things that you practice and develop in your life, the better chances you are of becoming successful. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is focus, because focus is the most important thing in my life when it comes to the success that I've had. And those of you who have known my story for a long time know that when I took the Clifton Strengths test, I found that I was number one in focus. And if you've known me for a while, you will know that that's not inaccurate. I tend to just tunnel vision. I get a new project and it's the only thing I can think of. And I focus on it until I am done with it. And I forget everything else exists in the world. I forget that I have friends. I forget that I have family. I just forget everything. It's really hard for me. That pull is really hard for me to avoid. And the good thing about it is it does lead to success. Like I have been fairly successful in the various ventures that I have undertaken in my life, which is it's good. But in my case, it's not something that I needed to develop. It's something I've needed to learn to channel and to acknowledge when it's becoming a little overpowering. So, if you struggle with focus, you'll most likely struggle with seeing things through to completion. And you know that, right? If you struggle with focus, you know that. Focus thinking helps you clarify what you want. So if you're able to focus on tasks and you can tell, okay, so this is not actually something that's going to work for me. And if you devote enough time to it, you can understand that really quickly, and it helps eliminate things off of your to-do list that you should not focus on. And it also helps you understand what you need to put onto your list, because if you're able to maintain focus on a task, it makes it so that you can create your to-do list or create your schedule in your mind if you don't do to lists or whatever, just so it helps you understand where you're going and what you need to do to get there. Uh, so this makes it easier to identify priorities and eliminate distractions, and it also helps you not waste time, helps you not waste money, helps you not waste effort. Being distracted and multitasking actually dilutes your energy. It makes it harder for you to be successful the more things you're working on at once. And people are like, women multitask and men tend to focus on one thing. That's not exactly true. I found a lot of women actually are like more like me. I'm a horrible multitasker. I'm very good at focusing, and that's not a lot of women are that way, and there are a lot of men who can't focus. They do multitask. Their brains just go all over the place. Um, focus concentrates your energy on completing high task values. So things that you know are going to be the most important in your situation on your plate to get you where you need to go. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my client at this point. I've mentioned him before. He's from a different country. He is highly successful. He's known as the father of business in the country where he's from, and he is like this go 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 powerhouse. He struggles with focus, and he's like, when we're working together, we have several projects we're working on together. I mean, just he's opening up his business here next year. We're releasing one book in March. We're releasing another book sometime after May, and I'm a co-writer basically of that book, and I co-wrote a whole bunch of parts in the book that's coming out in March. And I've got all of these different projects I'm helping him with. So I'm helping him on the editorial side, helping him on the marketing side, I'm helping him on the branding side, helping him on not just the marketing but sales side. I mean, there's a lot of different things I'm helping him with, and he tends to be like this, just pound and go, and he just jumps from things to things really quickly. And he has really good focus, but he jumps to the next thing really fast. And I tend to focus until the current thing is done. And so it's actually been really challenging for me to work with him because he's like, hey, what about this? I need you to get this done. So I'll start working on that. He's like, hey, how's the marketing going? Or how emails doing? Or what happened to the chapter I sent to you? And so I'm just constantly jumping back and forth because I mean, he's the one who pays me. He's my client, and I want to serve him the best I can and serve him in the way that works best for him. And the what works best for him is the jumping around. Like that just really it gives him a big high. Like he just absolutely loves it. And so some successful people, that's the way they are. They do flit from thing to thing. In my case, like I tend to be I narrow in on what works best and I focus on I that dead horse, I beat it till it's dead and dead. Good and dead. Anyway, focus is what Brian Tracy, and in one of my previous episodes, I mentioned him, is what he was talking about when he mentioned the importance of deep thinking. Success often requires mastering complex skills or solving really challenging problems, and the best way to tackle those sorts of issues and those sorts of things is through deep thinking and deep working. And you'll know when you get there. It's like you're in this state of undistracted, really high concentration effort where nothing is penetrating. Like you probably don't even have music going. You're not playing on your phone. You're not even thinking about your phone. You just get into this really intense moment where you're concentrating on the problem, on the issue, and you're able to come up with a resolution, or you're able to brainstorm the next thing for a book, or the next thing for your business, or whatever it is that you need, or your marketing plans, or whatever. And deep thinking is really important for success. You need to be able to get into that energetic calm that where you've got high energy and high focus and high concentration, but you are very calm and you are not stressing and you're not falling all over the place and you're not jumping all over. You're just thinking and deep working. Anyway, so focus also allows you to handle setbacks appropriately. So you're so focused on the task that when something pops up, you know exactly what to do to resolve it, or you're able to what's the word? Delegate it so that it's not as big of a deal, or it doesn't actually like help you, or you don't lose momentum basically. So something pops up, you're able to get right back on and things and continue working because you've been so focused on your task. And so when a setback comes up, it doesn't really matter because you just fix it and you keep going on. And then the next thing, it actually kind of goes hand in hand with focus, and that's minimizing distractions. And this is really, really important for focus and for being successful. Like if you can't minimize distractions, then you're not going to be able to focus. And right now, I can't even look behind me. My office is a wreck. That was one of the things I was like, I'm not going to be able to record my podcast again until I clean my office. Don't look behind me. That's where all the mess is congregated, is right here. And that's because I have to have a clear path to get to my door, my office door. Anyway, and I realized, you know what, if I wait until my office is clean until I record again, and it's not that bad. It's just, books on my chair. I've been sorting through the closet of my writer's books and stuff like that. And I'm like, it is not, I need to be able to get things done and not wait for the perfect situation. And so this distraction, I've minimized it. I've put it to the back of my head. It's not affecting me right now because I'm able to be, it's behind me, literally. Anyway, I am really, really good at minimizing distractions because focus is my number one strength of Clifton's strengths. So, a little story about that. And I've shared this with some of my subscribers in the past, but when I first took the Clifton Strengths personality test, I was really surprised to see focus at the top, and then I was like, oh well, that makes really sense. It really makes sense. And so I started listening to the Gallup podcast episodes on my top strengths, and one of them was is on focus, and it was like write down all the things that are distracting you and eliminate the top three. And guys, I have three kids. And I was like, if I were to eliminate the top three things that distract me the most, then I would go to prison, right? Anyway, but I frequently need to remind myself that other people exist and that I have friends who want to hear from me and who I want and need interaction with. And sorry, my voice is going dry. And I need to remind myself that it's okay to get interrupted, especially by my kids. I absolutely love interacting with my kids, and my first response is frustration when I get interrupted. I think that's pretty true for a lot of people, but it's an interruption that's not unwelcome because my kids are very important to me. They're more important to me than my business. They're more important to me than success, than anything else. And so but it's still frustrating when I do get interrupted. And so I minimize my distractions. And in this case, I shut my office door. I let them know, hey, I can't be interrupted for the next hour. Go talk to dad if you need anything. My husband also works from home. And so we're both available when the kids need us. And anyway, so minimize distractions to help you focus so that you can become successful. Okay, the next thing is delayed gratification. Self-control, guys, is a must if you want to be successful. And if you cannot delay gratification, you will not be successful. I'm going to say that like and I'm sure there's going to be people that will disagree with me, but unlike focus, you don't have to be really great at focus to be successful, but you have to be good at delayed gratification to be successful because success is not just being able to make money, it's also being able to ensure that your future is going to be what's the word? Safe, protected. And in order for you to do that, you have to be able to save money. You have to be able to pay off debt. If you're constantly spending more than you make, you will never get to a position where your wheels can stop turning and where you can just relax. And that means you won't have reached true success. I've heard people say that the true definition of wealth and success is when you can go on a vacation for a week or 2 weeks and it doesn't impact you financially. It doesn't slow things down. Like things are still running without you doing that. And that you can be successful before you get there, but that's when you know you've reached it, when you've made it, is kind of like that passive income thing that everybody wants to get to, but they're not willing to put the work into now to reach that point. They just want to get to the passive income side of things. If you cannot delay gratification, you will never get to the passive income side of things because you won't learn self-control. You won't learn how to control your impulses. You won't learn how to save money so that you have money to fall back on if there's a rainy day. You won't learn the discipline necessary to put the work in now when your friends are out doing stuff that you want to be doing, when your husband's watching Fire Country and you want to be watching Fire Country with him. By the way, I don't put down Fire Country. I watch Fire Country with my husband. I watch it every single time he watches it. And I can't believe I just admitted publicly that we watch Fire Country, guys. It is the most melodramatic, ridiculous show on the face of the planet, and we both love it because it's so stupid sometimes and it's so much fun. I love the tension, not the drama. Like people are burning in a house and everybody stops the firefighters. They stop to discuss their relationship problems. I'm like, guys, there's people in the house, and those people in the house, they don't die. Somehow they magically survive. Anyway, sorry, way big tangent. But basically, delaying gratification. So if you know you have to get up at like 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and yet you stay up until midnight because I don't want to go to bed, because I'm playing a game on my phone or I'm watching this show on Netflix or whatever. That's not delaying gratification. That's not impulse control, and that's not learning self-control. That's basically setting yourself up for failure because when you wake up, you're groggy, you're tired, or you don't do it at all. You sleep in and you miss out on other things that you should also be doing that can bring success, like working out and maintaining health. Your eating habits and your exercise habits. These are all about delaying gratification. One of the things that we're doing a lot in this book I'm working on with my client is dopamine hits and how huge dopamine hits are and how much they've taken over our lives. Like people pick up their phones because they're addicted to the dopamine hit that comes from the game or social media or what's going on in life and they do the same thing with food. Like they are addicted to the dopamine hit of eating more than they are to delaying the gratification or that impulse control. And it makes it so it's almost impossible for you to become successful because if you cannot control yourself now, you won't be able to reap. It's like the farmer analogy, planting seeds. If you don't plant the seeds and if you don't tend them now, you will not reap a harvest later on. And so I feel very strongly about this one. So saving money instead of spending impulsively and getting education and or in like your business, like investing in things in your business now or resisting the temptation to spend all your time playing video games. Andrea, I do play games sometimes, and sometimes I play a lot of games. We just came off of Thanksgiving, and I did play a lot of games over Thanksgiving. I also spent a lot of time with my family, which was really nice. But basically, and that was my focus. I was like, I'm focusing on this right now, and I'm not focusing on work. But basically, being able to delay gratification now, it can transform short-term sacrifices into the foundation for long-term and long-time success. And it's the kind of success that will make you so much more satisfied with yourselves. And it's just that the dopamine rush that comes from delayed gratification and success down the road is way better than those little tiny mini dopamine hits that you're getting now by not exercising impulse control. Okay, boundaries. This is another one that's sensitive. Boundaries are essential for achieving success because they protect your time, your energy, your effort, your focus, all of that, allowing you to prioritize your goals without unnecessary distractions or burnout. And boundaries have to be set with yourself, they have to be set with other people. And by setting clear limits on how much you give to others or to activities that you want to do, but that don't align with your goals and your objectives, you create space for intentional effort towards your ambitions. So basically, if you're like, okay, my boundary with myself is I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. and I'm getting up at 7 a.m. And yes, that's basically my sleep schedule. If I don't get 9 hours of sleep, I get really sick because of Epstein-Barr flare-ups. And by saying no to staying up until 11, I've set the boundary and it makes me happier in the long run, which leads to more success, which leads to conserving my energy and my time and allows me to prioritize the things that are most important. And saying no, the ability to say no to excessive commitments to things that you know you should not do allows you to focus on things that really matter, on the things that matter the most, while also setting boundaries with okay, so like basically if you say no to things that you know you should not do, it allows you to say yes to things that you should do. So for example, it allows you to say yes to things that will help you long term in your be more productive and be healthier. And there's a dopamine hit that comes to people who work all the time now and who do not take time to exercise or do not take time to help their families. That's an addiction. And setting boundaries is also setting boundaries with yourself where you are being clear with yourself about what you will and won't do so that you aren't overdoing it in one area and neglecting other things that are more important, especially in the long run. Like kids, it might not be super important that I help my kid brush his teeth this very minute, but a whole week of not brushing his teeth is going to be a problem, right? And yes, I do still have to help my 5-year-old brush his teeth because he will not do it unless you stand over him and glare. Okay, so boundaries help you avoid overextension. They help you maintain balance. They help you stay aligned with your values. And basically, it helps you create the structure you need for long-term success. So respect your boundaries, respect other people's boundaries, set your boundaries, acknowledge other people's boundaries, and you'll be a lot more successful. Okay, the next thing is learning from failure. Guys, it's so important to learn from failure. It's a critical component of achieving success because it takes your setbacks and the things that you feel horrible about and it turns those into opportunities for growth. I absolutely hate failure. I hate it. I want to be right. And I don't know what it is about my personality. I think it's the consistency on the Clifton Strengths. I like things that are consistent and I like things that are just set up perfectly. And when I find out that what I set up perfectly was not the way it should have been and it was actually inconsistent or it was inaccurate, it's really painful for me. And it's really hard for me to admit when I have been wrong. Like it's a matter of pride for me. I've been working on it my entire life. I'm 42. I'm going to be working on it for the rest of my life, guys. And so I really struggle with learning. I struggle with being okay with failing. But I also recognize that the times when I have failed are times when I've learned and I've grown so much. And it allows me to recognize areas I need to improve in and analyzing what I've done, which I don't like to do again because that just I'm like analyzing my failure. That's a painful thing and I don't want pain. I naturally want to shy away from things that hurt, but being able to recognize what I did wrong and how to make it better the next time around is so valuable. And it's really hard for me to remember that. But I'm telling you guys right now, and this is me telling myself, it is very important. If you cannot learn from failure, your business will not succeed. And for me, I learn from my failure, but it's really hard for me to admit when something has been a failure. And so, like, my pride takes that hit, and I have to be like, okay, all right, it didn't work. Um, my husband, on the other hand, is really good at recognizing failure. Like he admits it really easily. And so we're really well paired up in that way because like he recognizes it so much faster than I do because he has a risk mitigation brain mindset. And I have a futuristic, like in Clifton Strengths futuristic, and I'm optimistic. Everything's optimistic and things are going to be great until they're not. And then it's really painful for me to be like, okay, they're not great, and then to change my trajectory and change my course. But that's really important to be successful is learning from your failure. So think of the try fail cycle. Those of you who are story writers or movie watchers. You've got your hero who's like, he's like got to go and, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good story of Trifle Cycle. Um, Harry Potter, we'll go with the Sorcerer's Stone. So he's trying to figure out who Nicholas Flamel is, and he's trying to get whatever the Sorcerer's Stone is, and I mean their cycle is them trying to discover information and failing until they find what they need, the final clue that will get them to the into, getting all of that Professor Quirrell and all that stuff. That's a really bad example because I can't articulate it well enough around it. But basically, it's when your hero tries something and fails, tries something and fails, and the third time they try, they succeed. That is the tri-fail cycle. And you need to have a healthy tri-fail cycle in a book in order for the book to be good. And that can be any book, romance, whatever. It can be any book. They all can benefit from healthy tri-fail cycles. And for people like business owners and just regular people who just want to be successful in life, failing is not a bad thing. It's when you fail all the time and you never succeed because you never change or try something new. So you're not learning from your failures. Okay, so the next thing is don't procrastinate unless that's what works for you. I'm going to say some people work best with tight deadlines. They don't do their best work unless they are right up against the clock. And I used to think I was a procrastinator, and I've discovered recently I'm not a procrastinator. I am just I'm just really good at focusing on the current project, and I tie off the current project. And then once it's fully done, then I move on to the one that I have the hard deadline for. And I always thought it was because I was procrastinating, but it's not. It's because I've been prioritizing. And I do like hard deadlines. Like deadlines are exciting to me. Like they get me, I can be so productive when I have a tight deadline. And I don't necessarily operate under tight deadlines. I can be very productive, like this book with my client that's coming out in March. Like I've got things on that, like they've been done for months. And I didn't need those things to be done until like January or February, but I've had them done for months because I was like, I know I'm gonna have other things come up that will, all the things that I don't think of or like little mini emergencies pop up at the last minute. And so therefore, I need to have this big project finished so that I can tackle those little things. And that's probably learning from failure, honestly, learning from things that have not worked. But don't procrastinate unless it's what works for you. If you need to have a really tight deadline in order to be successful, and it's going to be a deadline that is external and it's not like an internal, like, oh, I set that on myself and therefore I don't need to take it seriously, then you need to put that and implement that into your work routine so that you can be successful. Anyway, okay, sunk cost fallacy. This is one of my favorite things to talk about with clients because a lot of clients, a lot of people, they continue marketing things that will never, ever, ever sell. And they know they're not going to sell based on the data they've got, and they've put a whole bunch of, okay, so first let me explain what the sunk cost fallacy is. So this is basically when you're continuing to put time, money, or effort into something you're committed to, even when it's become clear that continuing is not the best decision. So you know that this thing is not going to work, but it's like really hard. You don't want to stop working on it because you've put time in it, you've put money into it, you've put effort into it, you've put energy into it, your thoughts, your hopes, all of that into it. And when those investments aren't like they're not recoverable, you continue, even though those investments aren't recoverable, you continue working on that thing because you don't want to waste everything you've put into it. But the more you put into it, the more you're wasting because it's never going to succeed. Um, so past costs should have no bearing on future activity. If something is working, that's great, continue it. But if it's not working, don't put more time or energy or effort or money into it because it's gonna destroy your business. And a successful business leader knows when to give up on something that's not working. And yes, it's painful. Yes, it causes a hit to the pride, but it also, I mean, is saving face on that thing worth your business falling and going bankrupt or going under or trudging along at a much slower pace than it should? There is one caveat to this. I've seen this so many times working with clients. Sometimes people give up on something and they're saying it's not working when in reality they simply don't have enough data yet. They haven't done enough effort yet to know if it's going to work or not. They haven't marketed enough. There haven't been enough people to look at it and reject it and for them to know that it's something that's not going to work. So for example, if you've got a book that you've published and it's been out for even a year and you've only had one person download it and you've only sent maybe 100 people to it, that's not enough for you to know that that thing's not going to work. You need to be sending over 1,000 impressions. Um, and when I say 1,000 impressions, if you're using a Facebook ad, your everything else in your Facebook ad needs to be perfect, like your image, your copywriting, your headline, all of that. And then the product page on Amazon that you send people to needs to be as perfect as possible. So the description needs to be as professional as possible. The cover needs to be as professional as possible. The price, the reviews, all of that need to be in place really well in order for you to know that what you just did was an honest test of whether that product, that book is going to sell or not. Because if you have a book that's perfect and only has one review or 10 reviews, then that's a test not of whether the book is good enough for the market or whether it's what the market wants. It might actually be a test of whether or not you have enough reviews. And so if you have enough reviews on a book and you have a good ad that's going to it and a good description, good cover, and people are still not buying, then that's when you know that the book is not something you should continue putting money into. Now, there is a situation where you can't get reviews. You've got one or two reviews because you cannot get people to download. And you've put a lot of money into it, and you know your ads are working well because you're getting really good clicks. But when people get to the product page, they're just not buying, and you know that the cover is good, you know that description is good because they were done by professionals, and you've market tested them, and people are still not buying, and you put a lot of money into it. Then it doesn't matter how many reviews it has or does not have. It's not a book that people want to read. And so it's really difficult to hear that. It's really hard to know when something that you've put all of your time and energy and effort into, and it's like people talk about book babies, really hard to know that book is not gonna work. Um, there's another caveat with that. Sometimes people won't buy. There's a lot of, oh my goodness, there's just a lot of lurking variables. Sometimes people won't buy a book from an unknown author who only has one book out. Sometimes they won't buy it from an unknown author who only has four books out or five books out. And so it's really hard to get that data. But once you get the data and you know that people are not purchasing your product or your Etsy thing, your crafts or whatever, once you've got the data and you're continuing to put marketing into it and people still aren't buying, then it's a sunk cost fallacy. It's something that's not going to ever go anywhere, and you need to give it up and go on to the next thing so that you're not wasting your time or your money. Now, examples of where sunk cost fallacy exists across the board outside of even business, though I will give one example on business. So, watching a show you don't like anymore because you've put this much time into it already. Like, I've been watching it forever. I've just got to finish it. I have to finish it. That's sunk cost fallacy. You've wasted so much time on it. Don't waste the rest of your time on it by watching it when you know it's not something you're enjoying. Like you're bored of it, you're tired of it, it's not hitting you the way you want it to anymore, then stop. Don't compel yourself to finish just because you've started it. It's the same thing for reading a book that you're not enjoying. You don't have to finish that book. Nobody will know. And the people who don't know, they won't care. Honestly, you'll care more than they will. So, watching a show you don't like anymore, reading a book that you don't like anymore, that's sunk cost fallacy. So here's the business one: for persisting with a failing project because your company has already spent a lot of money on it. You're like, oh, I've already put all this money in it. I have to finish it. I have to keep putting money into it. No, you don't. You have to stop. You have to put it to the side and work on something that will bring you money. And that's painful, and it's really, I mean, you're hearing me say that might not be painful because you're like, oh, I haven't experienced that. But when you're actually experiencing it, it's really painful. Okay, so here's the last one: staying in an unhealthy relationship because you've already spent so much time together. Like, if that relationship is unhealthy, abusive, it's not going where you want it to go or where you need it to go, staying in the relationship just because you've been together for so long, sunk cost fallacy. Like you need to like get out of the relationship. That's a harder one to hear deal with because again, I don't know. It's relationships are so nuanced. There's so many ins and outs there, and people do fall back in love with other people even after they've fallen out of love. But anyway, so those are my examples, and that's basically what I have for this episode when it comes to how to be successful in life. And that's all of those things that I've done, that I'm as I started my way through this is basically how I have achieved my success. And it's how business owners I've been working with have achieved their success. They spend time on things that they're good at and not on things that they're not as good at, which is a sunk cost fallacy because it's just not worth their time. Maybe it's worth the company time, and so they delegate it, but it's not worth their time. And they prioritize what's the most important thing for them to do. They focus, they eliminate distractions, they set their boundaries and maintain their boundaries, and all of the other things I talked about. Now, my voice is nearly gone now. But I did want to give an update on my life because things have been so crazy. Things have just been absolutely bat crazy lately. We're going to be doing IVF next month, and I can't remember what my last update on fertility was. I know that I've mentioned that we've had fertility struggles. I've been on supplements and medications to help prep for IVF that starts next month. It's going to be starting in about actually a month from tomorrow. That'll be January 2025, and I'm a little bit nervous. I'm very anxious to get it over with. I just really want to move on with my life and know whether it's going to work or not. And so all this build up and lead up to it's been really challenging. Anyway, so that's been going on in the back on, going on in my life, but there's a few other things that have made it so that's been very challenging for me to post episodes recently. And first of it is a very dear friend of mine who I have been very close to for over 10 years, got really sick and ended up in the hospital in a medically induced coma for 2 months fighting for his life. And he and his wife and I just we got really close over the last couple of months. Anyway, he ended up passing away and it was really hard to go through. He's been gone for over a month now and I still cry almost every day. It's just been very challenging. So I haven't talked to him in over 3 months. And I just, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how hard it has been. And I just, like, my life just kind of blew up when he got sick because he's just been such a, he's been such a pivotal figure in my life for so many years. I view him kind of as a dad figure, and it's just been very challenging. His wife and I are super close now, though, because I'm just very grateful for her. Oh, okay. So second, I retook the DISC personality test. And this is not going to come as a surprise to those of you who know me and have known me for a while, but I found out that I am high D, and D stands for drive. And this it might not be surprising to you, but it was very surprising to me because I took the DISC test several years ago, and it was told me I was high I and high C. And high I is basically a people person, and high C is a data-driven person. And I'm like, well, I see elements of those in me, and I've always seen elements of those in me. But like it just never sat well with me when I read those descriptions for high I and high C, and I was just like, that just doesn't sit well with me. It just doesn't really feel like me. And yet, even though it didn't sit right, I pushed myself to do things that I enjoyed at the time when I took them on, but that I kept burning out on. So, for example, being in front of people teaching, like I'm an extrovert. I love people. I love teaching, but I don't want to do it day in and day out. And when I was making myself do it, I burned out because I was like, but this is my personality. I'm high I. I'm a people person. I need to be peopling. And it really burned me out. Like, so for example, last year when I was doing I've told you guys I'm a Ramsey preferred coach and I was doing leads through the Ramsey organization and I met with probably 30 to 50 people one on one and I just started dreading those meetings. Like I just got really tired of meeting new people and meeting and just all of that, and I was like, you know what, I loved it for a while because I could stand in front of a crowd of 5,000 and I'm happy at home, absolutely love it. I can go into a group of 100 to 200 people and meet every single person there and just absolutely love it. It's like a high. I get a huge high off of it, but I burned out on it because that is not my innate natural person. I am an extrovert, but I'm not high I. I'm high D. And so when it came to high C are those people that like they're data driven. They crunch numbers. They're really good with Excel spreadsheets. And I'm really good at that. Like I'm really good at data. I'm really good at researching. I'm really good at figuring out what I need to do my project and to do it right. But I don't want to do that forever. Like I burn out on data so fast. Like I can set things up and do things right really well for several months, but then if you make me do it again, I will throw my computer out the window. And that's what I reached when it came to my podcast. And this show, like there's a lot of data, not data crunching, but a lot of routine tasks that are behind the scenes when it comes to this sort of thing that I burned out on. Like in order for my YouTube channel to be successful, I need to be doing like shorts. I need to be doing better descriptions. I need to be doing better thumbnails. And while I really enjoyed doing that stuff for a time, I burn out on it really quickly. And so, I'm really good at high I things, people things. I'm really good at high C things, data stuff and crunching numbers and things like that, but I don't enjoy doing them forever and I don't want to do them forever. I want to be able to hunker down and focus on a project and ignore everything else and everyone else for a while and just really blast at that project and be really successful. I've got really high drive. I'm just go, go, go all the time. And that's my personality. And when I took the disc test several years ago and saw that I was not high D, I was reading all the high D stuff and I was like, that fits me more. That fits me more. Nope, the test says high and I'm high C. I'm not high D. And anyway, so I finally retook it, and I found out I'm high D, and I'm also high in the other areas, which is why I'm really good with people, why I'm really good with data, and I'm a peacemaker, and I'm good at stabilizing situations and things like that. But I'm predominantly a D personality. Anyway, so the third thing that's been going on, and this is based on my second reason, I have alluded to this, I want this channel to grow, but I don't have the energy, time, or even desire to pursue that. And by desire, I mean I don't want to be doing the nitty-gritties. I don't want to be doing the little tiny details. I want to be doing the show. I want to be teaching and I want to be growing my channel, but I've gotten to the point where I absolutely need to delegate and I need help delegating those things. I need to hire people who can help me run my channel, like people who can, you know, build build thumbnails for me or and people who can take my full-length episodes and create multiple compelling upbeat shorts based off of them. And the problem with that is, like, I'm in a position where I can hire somebody, so I can afford it, but I'm having a hard time finding people to do that, and I don't even know where to turn. Like, I got on Fiverr, and I'm like, I don't trust these people, and some of the stuff they were coming up with, I was like, oh, that just doesn't fit what I'm looking for. And so, anyway, so I don't know what I'm doing with the podcast, the show. I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy what I teach on, but I can't handle the nitty-gritties that will make the show grow the way I know it can because I've grown YouTube channels before and I've grown podcasts before. Anyway, so if you know someone who'd be interested in helping out with my podcast who does it already and is good at it and has a track record of doing it successfully, please let me know. And I'm going to continue searching for that. So what these last 2 points boil down to, me finding out I'm high D, me wanting to grow my channel, but not having the ability or time because I'm my plate's just really full with my client and family. I want to move forward with something that I'm at the helm at, but I don't know what that is. And like I like to be in charge of things and I'm capable of being a business owner and I'm capable of tackling things, but I'm not entirely sure what those things are going to be or even what what my direction is for this podcast for the show. Like I know it's going to be based around business topics because I just love that stuff. I know it'll have finances in there sometimes. I know it's going to have a heck of a lot of marketing because I'm really good at marketing and I want to help people market. But I just so what I'm coming into is that I was following a strict outline for themes that I want to follow like my Great Leader series, and I wasn't allowing myself to talk about other things that were more interesting to me at the time because I was like, nope, I've got to finish this. I've got to finish this. And so now when it comes to the podcast, I need um, I need to be able to allow myself to talk about things that I'm excited about. So, for example, this topic right here, how to be successful, has been really fascinating to me, and I've been really wanting to talk about it for a really long time. But because I was working on my Great Leader series, I pushed it to the side. I was like, nope, nope, got to get through this first before I can talk about the things that I really want to talk about. And that burned me out, and it made it really hard for me to want to do a show. Anyway, so I'm going to discuss the business and marketing related topics, the financial topics, things like that interest me instead of making myself follow a strict outline all the time. And I do well with outlines, so I might do outlines still occasionally, but I want to make it so it's not super strict where I lose enjoyment in the process. Anyway, so yeah, I've already said my client's keeping me super busy. He keeps throwing things to me, which I appreciate, and I mean, there's just so much to work to do. With my husband Nolan quitting his job in April, we were like, well, hopefully there's a lot of work through this guy, and so far there has been, and I just have not run out of stuff to do yet. Like, we've barely scratched the surface, and so what we're working on is important, and it's going to have big impact. And he, by the way, also has high drive. He's very intense, and it's been a lot of fun. We butt heads occasionally, so that's been a little bit hard at times. I don't handle contention or confrontation super well. But it's been overall very good experience. And I want to start updating on marketing stuff, but he's not having me focus on marketing a lot lately, which has been really aggravating. So I've got to figure out a way to help him know that I need to be able to get back to marketing again, because if we can't market his books and have them come out well, then why are we even working on them? Anyway, so that's been a long episode with a lot of my updates. I hope that some of you will make it all the way to this part to the end. If you do, then let's see. Actually, I want to find out how many people make it this far. If you make it this far, comment below and tell me what color personality you are. Like, or if you've taken the disc test, what are you? Are you high D, high S, or high C? I grew up thinking I was a yellow personality, and I came when I took this test, the disc test, and found out I'm actually high D. I realized that I'm not a yellow personality, and I'm going to go into a future episode into all that, but because personality tests are huge to me. Anyway, so comment below, let me know what color you are. Let me know if you've taken the disc test or the Clifton Strength test, all of that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. I really appreciate you sticking around. Um, that comment below. If you're listening on a podcast, come find this video on YouTube and comment there. Or I know that some of the podcast apps allow commenting, comment there, and I will be alerted to it through Spotify. And thank you again, guys, so much for listening. I hope this is helpful, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.